My name is Greg Cook, and I'm an elder here at Bell One. Been going here about 20 years, and really love it here. And there's a story that goes behind it and how we came to be here at Bell One. I was raised in the United Brethren Church that's only a couple of miles from here, over on Rocket Street. And all my life, since an infancy to 18 years old, I went to that church. Then when I was 18, there was an event that occurred. A child was struck by a car, a 3-year-old boy, who I tried to help and rescue, but he was beyond rescuing. While I was doing so, it was a very dramatic scene, and the mother of the child was there and screaming and hitting me and begging to save my child. And I prayed to the Lord that I be given the strength and that this child be spared. But he did pass away, and in my anger, I turned my anger to the Lord. And in doing so, separated myself. It's one thing to be angry at the Lord as long as you continue to believe in Him, but I decided to stop believing. Since my prayers were not answered, obviously there was no Lord. But then my wife started attending the coffee break program here, and in doing so, she became more and more drawn to returning back to the church. During that intervening time, we had not gone to church, and I just refused to. And I decided that this just wasn't for me. But she kept wanting to come. She loved the people at Coffee Break, and they welcomed her openly. So she finally convinced me to come, and that first Sunday they come, the first thing I noticed was that there is a pipe organ, and I absolutely love pipe organs. So right away I'm kind of like, wow, this might be interesting. And Ralph Clark sang a song, and it was about, in my memory, he doesn't remember this, but in my memory it was about redemption and return to the Lord. And then what really, really just nailed it was the fact that right away people came up to us after church. And the very first thing, someone said, why don't you come over for lunch? We're having lunch today. We're having a couple of people over. Why don't you come over? And I at first was a little hesitant. Fortunately, my wife had the wisdom to intervene and say, okay. So she had already said okay, so I wasn't going to fight it. And we went to these people's house and were warmly treated. And other people had come, and again, they were all members of the church here, and so we were very warmly treated. The very next week, we decided to come back. And the very next week, another family invited us over, and then another over the intervening weeks. You said it in the question, personal, because it's personal. It's directed towards you. They didn't stand up and say, oh, we're having lunch, so whoever wants to show up, show up. They came up, they shook my hand, and they said, you know, hey, we really so happy that you're here sharing this service with us. Why don't you come? And, you know, how many times did Jesus get invited to a meal? You know, and he went. And probably the best way to serve the Lord at Bell One here and is to reach out on that personal level and look a person in the eye and say, you know, I want you to come to my house and have a meal. We'll talk. Hopefully you'll find a home here.